Hello there, and welcome to some fly tying here from Denmark in Scandinavia. The fly I'm gonna tie today is one of those small annoying flies you got all over the house in the summertime. Small black ones, small green, purple, bluish annoying flies laying eggs all over the place. I did put up a picture of one of these flies, and some of the members just asked me if I could do an SBS on this little fly. So I hope you got some time, because this is gonna take quite an amount of time because it's small. It's a lot of tiny small details. I've been doing some work before this, so I have prepared excuse me, I have prepared a bunch of small things that actually goes into this fly. First of all, the wings on this fly is artificial. It's fake, but none of this. It's they're very good looking. I got this kit from Sweden, and it's yeah, I think I got some commercials here. It's from this company, J.Son Sweden. They have all kinds of. This is a realistic colored foam in different colors and sizes. The thinnest is, I don't know, 0.5 mil. It goes from 6 by 1 millimeters and 6 by 2 millimeters, this foam. I'm not going to use this, but it was just to show the company. This company got some kits for tying emergers, dry flies, nymph, and daddy longlegs, and mayflies. I do use a lot of those materials for tying my mayflies. I love the realistic look of the fly, but there is some issues fishing with these kind of wings on these flies, because you tip it twists like hell. So you need. They also got this on the website. They got this anti-twist swirl. It's a little, I think it's 3 millimeters. It's a little plastic swirl. It goes in between the fly line, and you tip it. So when you cast these flies, you tip it with twist, but this anti-twist thing will do so it's not it's anti-twist. They have this kit. This is wings. It's very, very thin plastic with printed on wings, as you can see, and it's foldable. It's 2 layers. Don't take them apart. Then you also need this M2 wingburner that looks like this. So what you do, you cut out 1 pair of wings, and then after that cut off just 1 wing, still leaving both sides of this plastic foil material. Then you take your wing burner and put it on top of the wings, as you can see here, and it's a bit, the burner is a bit smaller than the wing itself. So just cut out along the lines, the outer lines on the wing, so it fits the wing burner, and then just take a lighter and just heat the edges, and then you'll get a finished wing. But this is a mayfly wing, so it's too big for tying this kind of fly, and there is not a wing burner. I've got tons of wing burners in all different sizes and shapes, but actually I don't got a wing burner that can make these kind of wings. So a little thinking out of the box and a little cutting and a little twisting, I made this wing. Actually, I made a pair because a fly would look pretty stupid with only one wing. So I've made two wings here, two similar wings, and they are identical in shapes and colors and everything, and they're gonna sit in here like this when the fly's finished. I've left a little stem here so I can tie it in. It's translucent so you can see through. It's on two sides, and the edges are burned so it won't go up. That's the one part I've made. The next part I've made, I took this Fasan feather, cut off 6, 7, 8 of these fibers, and then I've made, you probably know them, like we made them for daddy long legs, just a bunch of bones, a bunch of legs, not bones. Sorry for that. I made, I think, 7 or 8 legs because sometimes they just break. So you can actually get pre-tied legs from, I think it's not Wapsi, it's I don't know, it's what they call Vineyard. Vineyard makes you can get, I think the bag is this size, and in this you got the whole feather, and every fiber has been tied in with a little knot all the way up on both sides. So you can just actually cut off the legs you want, right for the right side and left for the left side, so the legs fold correctly on the fly. So if you're not fond of, you got big old fingers like me, I'm 50 years old, but anyway, small fingers, and but I got my CF Design dubbing needle. It's got a little bend on the tip. This is actually quite good to make these fibers, these legs from. So you simply just take one fiber and just fold it around and make a knot. Then you have a leg looking like this, and it's gonna be tied in facing the thickest part of the fibers down, because if you look into the legs of a fly, you can't see it with a normal eye, but close up, all these tiny feathers is going upwards, just like the normal fly. Therefore, I'm gonna tie it in reverse, so the biggest part down and the thinnest part up. Therefore, I made some extras because sometimes they simply just break, because I'm using GSP thread, and I'm pretty much using the thread for all kinds of my flies. I'm not using Benici or Unithread in in some kind of natural material. I know this is synthetic, but as you can see, it just folds up in just tiny fibers, and it's a veevus 30D, pretty much the thinnest thread you can get on the market of these kinds of threads. But the good thing with the thread, it lays on flat. Every turn you take, it lays it on flat on the hook shank. You can also just twist your bobbin, and you got a very good sharp and tiny thread, strong as you can see. I'll hold it in here, just tie some thread on the hook shank here, and you will see this is a strong thread. I'm just pulling now. and it's a 30D thread, unbelievable. And the hook I'm using for this fly, well, you can actually use any kind of hook of this size, because you're not gonna fish with this fly. It's only for showing off what you can do. So I choose this one. It's from Tiemco. It's a TMC 2487BL, and it's a size 10. It's a hook used for floating nymph, shrimps, caddies, pubers. It's 2 times wide, 2 times short, barbless bronze. So it's a good hook for pretty much any kind of fly of pubers and those kind of things. The next thing you're gonna use, you can take regular peacock, but I have chosen to take, this is from Wapsi, actually guideline fishing from Sweden, but Norway, sorry. But it's made from Wapsi, and it's called bright green. It's a much brighter green, and it's much more. It's got this lovely color. Instead of the regular peacock, it's a little bit blurry in the color. So this bright green color, you can see it in the bottom. There's some leftover dye here, kind of bluish. So these are the fibers. I have been picking out a bunch of fibers, so I took out the best fibers. So they pretty much look like this. You can actually get this anywhere, I think, but regular peacock would do. So that's the basic of the fly. So let's get into tying this little bugger. I just put on some thread here. I think I will not be speaking all through this video, because at some point I have to be extremely concentrated. So I'll just shut up and tie the fly. But of course I will be speaking a bit when I'm tying, but you can see what I'm doing actually. So I have built this up in 4 steps, because the first time I tied this fly, I made just a dobbing loop here, and then I just worked my way upwards, tying in the legs first, and then twisting the body afterwards in the dobbing loop with the peacock strands in it. But it was just way too difficult. It took so much time to twiggle the loop around, folding the legs out, get them in shape, sitting correctly. And it's actually 3 sets of legs. So, and actually you have to go around the wings to make them set correctly. So that was way too difficult. So I found out the easier way to do this. It was simply just tie a small amount of strands in and just take it along nice and quiet. So I'm starting out with 3 strands of peacock herl and just tie them in the bottom here. Like this. And just fold this one on top so I get a bit of volume from what I'm cutting off in a minute. And I got a base for putting on my legs, because you know, if you're gonna tie in these legs on just the hook shank, they'll just be all over the place. I'm cutting off the excess here, just a couple of millimeters from the hook eye, and then I just go back again and just like all other flies, whether you use peacock for the body, just twist it around your thread so it'll get a bit stronger. As you can see, when I'm gonna tie it in a minute, or turn it in a minute, you will see how this ultra thin 30D GSB thread just vanishes into this peacock. And I'm gonna tie in, I know it's a bit wrong, you're not allowed to go back into the materials, but you have to do it because you have to fill up a good amount of volume on this fly. I could have taken some hair mask or some kind of dumping and put it underneath to get the volume, so I didn't have to use so much of this peacock and going back and forth, but it doesn't matter because it's just for fun, this one, you know. It's just for the fun of tying and for the realistic look. So all these classic ways to tie your fly, just forget it when you tie these kind of flies. No one can see it. And if it's just for shows, it doesn't matter if you get 3 turns or you get 7 turns. So that's the first part. That's the back of the body tied in there. So now I'm ready for the first set of legs. And I'm gonna find a leg here. And it's too long, I know, but I'm gonna cut it off afterwards. So I'm just gonna put in some legs here on the side. And you have to be a little bit careful with this one because it can be a little tricky. But there you go. You have the first leg tied in there. And then I'm gonna cut it off in a perfect length when I finish tying the fly. And now I'm gonna tie in the next leg on the other side. Remember to match the knot on the leg, matching the knot on the other side, so you get a similar leg tied in on this side. I'll be approximately around here. Just take a loose turn because this GSP thread just can't break it apart, but and then I'm gonna check the position of the legs. It's a little bit twisted, so I'm just gonna, my thread is still hanging down, so I just gotta grab a hold of the leg in the end and just lift my bobbin just a tiny little bit, just to loosen the thread so I can twist my leg into place. So I just loosen it a bit. That was too much. So it looks like this one. And now I have the other leg tied in here. Then I just tie in the excess here. So I'm pretty sure this leg is not going anywhere. As you can see, I've been back and forth on the hook shank many times now, and there's almost no volume to it. Remember, it's a size 10 hook, this one. I just have to take a little sip. So the next I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tie in a small bundle of this peacock herl again. 3 strands. It's perfect and easy to control on this size of on this hook size. If you take 5, it would be too much of, it would just be too much. You can take 2 but I think 3 it's a good amount of strands to control on this fly. So just go back to the position where I'm tied in, like this, and I'll just hook it up in my in my spring down here, so it just stays there in place. So we can do that again. So just sits in place, just locks there. And then I'm gonna cut off the excess here, like this one. So the next thing I'm gonna do, that's the wings. And I'm not gonna tie in one wing at a time. I'm gonna tie them in as a pair, because it's much easier to get them in the correct position when you tie them in the pair, because you have to match them up against each other. So I just take my, whoopsie, sorry, I just need my dubbing needle and just split them apart like this, and just fold them onto the hook shank, holding with my right hand. I'm right-handed, so just to check the position. I think that's gonna be perfect, this one. So I'm just gonna hold the wings and the body together at the same time in this position. My thread around one time and one time more, and then just take my and just get it back into position there. They can be a little bit too long, so I'll just pull them a little bit, still holding on to the wings, not losing the grip at all. And there you have it, a perfect set of wings on the fly, like this. That's pretty easy, isn't it? And damn good looking. So I'm just gonna cut off the excess here. That's one. And the other one. Like this. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm going back behind the wings. So I'm just gonna fold the wings together again, lift them up a bit, and go back between the wings. 2 turns. That should fasten the thread, if I can get it under the wing without destroying anything. And they're pretty easy to get back into shape and position if you mistie them or something like that. So they're pretty good to work with. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my peacock and just fold it under here, and again take my peacock and fold it around the thread, I don't know, 10-20 times, just so I'm sure it's strong like an iceberg. So, and just twist it a little bit. So we're almost done. And then I'm gonna take my wings again, like this, and just wrap sometimes behind the wings, just so I'm kind of matching up the back end of the body. So now you can see we are on the way to get a nice tapered shape of the wing. And then I'm gonna take one figure 8 between the wings. Just a little bit careful. And then I have to get them into shape again. And then I'm gonna take one turn in front of the wings, like this. Just need to twist this wing a little bit, like this. And then I'm gonna finish this one off, because now I'm gonna tie in some more legs, just leaving my peacock folding backwards like this. Just let it hang loose there. Then I'm gonna find 2 more legs. This one here, and then I'm gonna tie this leg. Pretty much the first set of legs, I tied them in facing backward. This leg, I'll try to get them facing not directly 90 degrees, but a bit backward, but still not too much. And I'm gonna tie it in right here. That's where the fly tires long nails comes in, because you have to have nails when you're tying flies to hold the material. So I pretty much use my grumpy old man fingernails to get these legs into shape. I'm just gonna measure the length from the knot to the hook shank. It's pretty much like this. And hold it with your nail. Can be a little bit difficult. And 2 turns. And now I'm gonna lock them into place, twisting them a bit if they're facing the wrong way. You can see this one is going upwards. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So I'm just gonna loosen it a bit again and twist it into place. When I'm satisfied, I'm gonna tighten the thread a bit. Can be a little bit difficult, but like this, I think. I was actually tied in a bit too far in the front, so I have to make another tie a little bit closer to the wing. So I'm sure they're gonna fit on the other side. So just need my dubbing needle to get this leg out. That's pretty much like it. I'm just checking my fly, looking in the front of the fly, just check that the legs set in place so they don't go underneath the fly or on the top of the fly. So that's pretty much that. So I'm just gonna tie in the access legs. And the best part of this thread is also that due to the thickness of the thread, I can actually tie in my legs 0.5 millimeter from the hook eye, just pretty much without leaving any marks or leftover of thread, and just vanish into the fly. So now I'm gonna tie in the rest of the body here, making the head of the fly and the rest of the body. So I'm just gonna again twist my peacock around my thread. Pretty much like this. And now I'm gonna just tie in the rest here. Just making sure the legs are setting in the right position. Just small amount at a time. making sure we're not gonna drag the legs around the fly. Just checking them again. Sure they're still set in place, like this. And as you can see, the fly is, oops, I just lost my thread there. I just have to go back here. So, like this. So, we just go back again. No worries. That's the fun of fly tying. Just gonna lift this leg up a bit because it seems to have a opinion of its own, this one leg, but that's okay. We'll manage. We'll come to the finals anyway. Just have to follow up on my thread here, twisting it a bit more. Just tighten it a bit. So that's pretty much the fly. So now I'm just gonna unwrap my peacock and just finish it off just close to the hook eye. And turn it around because it's a eye down hook, so if it's just lifted, the thread will just dribble off because I've tied it in so close to the hook eye. And then I'm gonna take my my knife here. It's just fitted with a razor blade. It's perfect for cutting songo wings and stuff like that. As you can see, the fly is not finished yet because it's missing 2 legs. So now I'm just gonna make a little knot on the fly because I'm so close to the hook eye that it might drop off when I got a loose thread or something. So now it's just hanging there. So now we're gonna take the last legs of this fly, but they're gonna face forward, these legs, just on our standard fly. Oh, you just have to wind it up a bit, yeah. And let's see if we can catch it. You can see it, but I'll try to catch the leg here. That's one leg. So, as you can see, you can't almost not see what I'm doing in there because the thread is so thin. And then I'm gonna take the last leg, tie it in here in front, facing down. Can be a little tricky. So, and then I'm gonna just take a loose turn and another loose turn to lock it into place. So you have it like that, and just winding off some thread, lift up the legs, take a turn in front or 2, tighten thread, and now we're gonna make finishing knot on the fly. I'm just gonna take this brass tube and just got a small hole in it. I don't know the word for this knot in English, but managed to find out, but you know it. It's kind of a whip finish, just 2 turns around and hold it on the eye. There you go, fly's finished, but not quite yet, because just have to take a look at the fly here, and then I'm gonna cut off the legs in the right length. So I'm just take a look see here. First I'm gonna cut off the excess here from the front legs. Remember to cut off the right thing, the top and not the bottom of the legs. So now you got a fly with some seriously long legs. Pretty much it's some kind of a, I don't know, hybrid between daddy long legs and a regular housefly. Pretty much. So what I will do here, I'll measure the length when you have the legs going out in 90 degrees from the hook, and measure it down to the tip of the hook here. That's about it. And the other one. So when I have cut one, I pretty much know the lengths of the legs. So I'll just cut them in the same length on these small legs. And there you have it. The next and last thing we want to do, I had a problem with making the eyes on the fly. How on earth should I make these eyes on the fly? Because if you see the eyes on the fly, it's small. I don't know. It's is it a hexagonal or what it is? But and when you zoom into it, it just came up with new hexagons. So what I'm gonna do to make this happen, kind of look like the eye, I use UV glue. You can take any kind of glue, but again, I really love Gulff UV glue. It doesn't stick, cures in a split second. You can get it in this Fat Man tube. I got it on my fingers too now. That's a problem. I don't need that on my fingers. Just need my lamp. I just have to harden my glue on my fingers here. So then I'll take some of this glue and just put it onto anything you can find. A bit of plastic glue. Just got this small box where I got my blades from my knives. This is close to being empty, so just have to shake it a little bit. And this is not a thin UV glue. It's quite thick, this one. So I hope I can manage to get something out of it. Oh, here we go. You can see it's quite thick, and I only need a little bit, a tiny amount of glue. So just put the lid on it, and normally when I tied the first fly, I had my I've got to have my reading glasses on, but I also used a magnifying glass to make the head, because what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna look into this, because see if I can see anything here. I'll just change the lighting for a minute because I have to get some more lights because I can't see anything without it. So I just take my lamp down here. It'll probably blur up, but I'll change it back in a minute. So what I'll do, got some glue on my scissors. I'm gonna cut off these small fibers very carefully. Very carefully. Because when you want to make the head and the eyes on this fly, and everyone who have been using UV glue on making small bait fish and stuff like that, you all pretty much know what happens when you put UV glue onto some kind of fibers. The fibers simply just go out through your UV glue. Just be careful not cutting off the wings or the legs. So just take your time and cut off the fibers on the peacock stem, so you get some kind of smooth surface on the head. Because when you put on the UV glue, you just get this pretty awesome and nice looking surface. And then I'm gonna take my dubbing needle and just apply a tiny amount on the fly here. And the reason why I use thick UV glue is if you have used the thin UV glue, it will just sink into the fly, making the fly looks pretty stupid. So I'm just gonna apply a small amount of this glue. And a small amount just around where I finish the fly. So the UV glue can help me fixing the front legs into place. Something like that. And then I'm just gonna take my UV lamp and harden this one. So there you have it. One small, awesome looking fly. You can actually fish with it, I think, but I think it'll float for, I don't know, not many seconds. And when you cast it again, you got so much water in the peacock herls, so it'll just drown. But I think you can make it as a fishable fly. Then I would have taken some of my foam, made a thin layer of foam underneath the peacock, and then after that just tied in the peacock on top of the foam, and then I'm pretty sure this fly would not sink ever. You also got in the wings, you got a certain lift in the wings because it's 2 layers of foil, plastic foil, folded together, burned, and you actually got some, it's actually an air pocket in the wings, so the wings have a certain lift too. I'm just fixing the wings a little bit here. Quite easy to work with. So here you go.